Here we go. Good day, everyone. I am Dana the Angry Citizen coming to you live from Brewer, Maine. Today is February 23rd, 2024, and it is 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm here with my special guest and good friend, John Linnehan, for the second time in a row. We were broadcasting a little while ago, a few moments ago, having some technical issues and got booted off because that's what happens whenever we try to get important information out there. So we're back, not giving up. Welcome,
Nope.
John.
We'll never quit, Dana, no matter what.
That's what we say. so we just did an intro that was a great intro, but just in case you haven't seen it or weren't paying attention, John is a friend of mine. We've known each other for a few years now. We met down in Augusta at the protests.
That's
when
right.
the unconstitutional actions of our Governor Janet Mills were taking place, and she was issuing what are called executive orders and lockdowns, which are unconstitutional. And we found ourselves aligned on many issues. And I have been working with John in a lot of different ways on some events. We worked together at John Linnehan's Constitution Hall in Ellsworth. And that is where we hosted the first and second annual Maine Freedom Rallies.
Yep.
And I consider John a good friend and definitely a strong patriot. I'm extremely grateful right now for strong patriots, because we all need to be strong patriots, because as we were just discussing, our country is in deep, deep trouble, and we need to reawaken as a people and restore our constitutional republic, restore our rights, enforce the Constitution, enforce the rule of law, and hold all of those who violate their oaths and who violate the law accountable. So now, Johnny, you've been a staunch Republican for many years. You recently decided to separate yourself from the Republican Party. So I know you were talking about that a little bit in our session we were doing a moment ago, but let's revisit it in case people are starting fresh. So tell us about that and your decision.
Yeah, well, actually, this Monday I unenrolled, and I'm running. I ran last year for the city council in my town, and I also ran for the District 13 House of Representatives seat here in my area. And I'm running for those same two offices this year. I checked, and legally I can run both. I have the time and energy to do both, and I think I have the expertise that we need in both those areas. So I'm running for both of those offices. Will be on the same ballot, but I'm going to be running as an unenrolled independent this time around. I've just, as we talked earlier, I don't see the Democratic Party. I think that's been hijacked. It's not a party that's of the people, for the people. It's been hijacked by the One World Economic Forum, the Bill Gates, George Soros people, and it's a communist-run organization. I think a lot of the people in the Democratic Party should walk away. They need to wake up and walk away from that party, because it does not express their beliefs. I don't believe right now, but that's up to them. As far as me and the Republican Party platform, I stand by 100%. I'm 100% pro-life. Life starts at conception. I'm pro-traditional family biblical definition, a husband and wife, one man, one woman. And I support those traditional values that the Republican Party platform says that they endure. But unfortunately, even though there are some strong Republicans that I love and respect, I pray for them every day. And I respect exactly what they're trying to overcome. But between the opposition of the Democrats and the rhinos, or Republicans in name only in their party, it doesn't seem to matter who's in office. Nothing gets changed, or at least not enough gets changed for my satisfaction. And I think it's time for independents to step up. And the first time we met at the rally, I had my Bible in one hand and the Constitution in the other. And I think that was 4 years ago, and I've still got the Bible in one hand and the Constitution in the other.
And you had the suit on, the patriot suit. For those who don't know, this is me and Johnny. Second annual Maine Freedom Rally. That's my man Ohio Brett sitting in the background, my co-host. That is the coolest thing. I love that suit. And yeah, you were wearing the suit, and I was like, wow, I don't know who this guy is, but I like him.
I love America. I'm an America First guy. If I'd have known you were going to say that, I could have gone and put the suit on for the day's interview like that for our podcast. But I am an America First guy. I mean, I support Donald Trump 100%. I'm MAGA all the way. And I believe that he has put America first at his own family's trauma really they're going through. It's unbelievable that our courts are siding against what's going on in Donald Trump's life right now. I pray for him and Melania every day, and we just have a lot of opposition at all levels like that. So we have to fight for limited government. It's not limited government. Government is way too big. It's overreaching, and it's done away with our constitutional rights. They're not operating under our U.S. Constitution, in my opinion.
You're right. I agree, and the facts back you up. It's not that you can state an opinion on pineapple pizza is good or bad, but you're stating facts. They are not. This is demonstrably true. The evidence clearly shows that our government is riddled with fraud, waste, corruption. It's so bad that it's like a joke. It's like a sitcom that they're doing these things. And when they started talking about, and the phrase they use is, this is horrific to me, that they're talking about sending money to the Ukraine. So we're sending money to a foreign nation. No accountability, no transparency, no. And do we have this money? We don't. No. We don't have this money that they're inventing it. They're making it up. They borrow it and print it. And for us to be doing this while there are homeless veterans on the street, and our VA is a joke. They're an absolute joke, and paying themselves fat salaries to sit around in their plush offices and have expensive lunches. And the homeless veterans are still suffering and PTSD and suicide, and these clowns have the audacity to tell us they're going to send money to a foreign nation to fund their war effort, is an abomination, John. It makes me so angry that they would do this to us. It's flagrant, it's criminal. And the only time this is going to stop or reverse is when we, the people, make it happen, because they're not
Amen.
Listening to us.
Amen.
They don't care what we want. They're going to do what they want and what their corporate masters dictate that they do. And getting back to our original thread, this whole Republican Democrat paradigm is utterly ridiculous. It's constantly back and forth. It's like watching a tennis match, and nothing ever gets done. Nothing ever changes. We wait for, the Democrats to do blah, 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 or the Republicans to do blah, 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 and they don't.
That's right.
They never do. So, and I do agree.
You just highlighted one particular problem is spending. And, we're in trouble financially. The state of Maine would be in just as bad trouble as the federal government if it had a printing press. And the city of Ellsworth, every level of government spends too much money. Yes. Because we're spending other people's monies. Yes. We're taxing and spending, not prioritizing on the areas we should be. And to me, it's not just one area. That's why I'm running for city council and House of Representatives. If I had time, I'd run for the federal United States office too, but it can only handle so many offices at once. But we need to put a handle on all this stuff right here. I'm a hard money guy. We allow the Federal Reserve, which is not a federal agency, it's a private company. We allow them to go and print money, take a piece of paper, print it with nothing behind it. When it was gold backed, it was fine. I have no problem with that. But when they took the gold backing off, I believe it was around 1970, when that came off, and we just started printing money. And so now we just keep printing it. It's just a piece of paper. It's just taking paper and printing money. And it's only good because people still accept it. I don't want cash. The cash is no good. It's going down. So I believe you should have hard assets. I believe you should have ammunition. You should have real tangible items like that. Single family homes, things of that type like that. This whole financial system is going to head for the biggest depression, in my opinion, this world has ever seen, because debt's paid back either one or two ways. I either pay you what I owe you or I default. And the way the United States government is going, they're not going to pay it back. They're going to have to default. I think it's 37 trillion debt that they admit to. What about, it's probably 200 trillion if you look at the off budget expenses that are on there. So we're in serious trouble. And, I believe we got to fix it locally. That's why I'm running for my local office. And I've already told them I want to cut. I will not vote for any increase whatsoever in taxes. We need to cut taxes 10% minimum right across the board. And that's not even enough. But I'm just running on that in my city to try to wake them up. And they say, well, you can't do it. And I say, well, yeah, you can. It's just about spending. Your
Yeah.
spending determines your ending, and all of our governments are spending too much money.
Yeah. And spending money we don't have, borrowing money, printing money. It's insane. It's fiscally, criminally irresponsible, and hurts my soul to see it happening and to see so many people blithely accepting it and justifying it as if somehow it makes perfect sense. And a lot of people refuse to listen to warnings. When you print large sums of money, you prompt inflation. And here we are now starting to see very serious inflation, and people seem surprised by this. And they start the news talks about what's going on that's causing inflation, and it's one of the most basic things. It's like lighting fires and then wondering why your house is on fire.
Can I give you a simple definition of inflation? I used to be in the new car business. I used to have a Ford dealership. In 1970, I used to write the ads. We'd sell brand spanking new Ford pickups for $19.95. That's $1,995. That same truck today is probably I haven't priced it, but it's probably $40,000 today. The truck's not worth that much more money, but the dollar's gone down in value.
Mm-hmm.
So America's under attack. They want to destroy our economy. And that's why we need America First people back, MAGA people back in office like that at all levels.
I have to comment a little bit on, you had mentioned Donald Trump, and I want to make clear that I'm not a Trump supporter per se. So what I'm about to say is not based on any loyalty to Donald Trump, except that I have to give people credit where it is due. Donald Trump campaigned on his promises. He was going to put America first. He was very focused on the wall and border security.
Amen.
And he did those things. So whether a person likes or dislikes Donald Trump is irrelevant. And to see what's happening to him now, and honestly, I was not a big fan of his. I really didn't like the guy when he was running for office. So I wasn't going, yay, Donald Trump, he's great. I did a cold, hard evaluation based on his words and his deeds. And the man did what he said he was going to do. He didn't waffle back and forth. Okay. And the establishment despised him when Nancy Pelosi tried to tear up his speech. And she kept saying, and if Donald Trump's guilty of treason, which he's not, why is Nancy Pelosi able to say he is leaving whether he wants to or not? That's what she said on national television to the American public, that Donald Trump's going to be out of that office whether he wants to be or not. How is that not treason?
Right.
And when Donald Trump ran for office, and I know this because I saw Laura Trump, who's Eric Trump's wife, give a speech at an event. And this is a compelling speech that she gave. And she said, when my father-in-law was going to run for office, he called a family meeting. And he said to all of us, I'm thinking about doing this, but I want your input because they're going to come after me. And not just me, they're going to come after you as well. And I need your blessing on this, because if any of you don't want me to do this, I won't do it. And I have to give the guy tremendous credit for that. And seeing him unfairly and unjustly vilified and attacked, just viciously attacked with ludicrous accusations that the phrase they use on the news is he tried to overturn the election. And that is a ridiculous and idiotic
fake news
diagnosis. It's absolutely insane to suggest that what he did is considered overturning the election. He asked legitimate questions about the results and the authenticity of the election. And as you know, because you're one of the only people that I know that I've talked to about this issue who's really looked into it and dug into it and looked at the facts, that you can't say that the election was not fraudulent if you look at the facts and the evidence. So he had every right to question it and every right to demand accountability and transparency, which we, the people, have not seen. We know the voting machines are hackable. We know that a lot of them came with internal built-in Wi-Fi, so they were online. We know that there were thousands and thousands of batches of votes delivered by people, unknown individuals in their cars, pulling up, shoveling off hundreds of votes into ballot boxes. Donald Trump had every right to question the results of the election and to challenge them. And anyone does. Anyone that runs for office has every right to challenge the results and demand accountability and transparency. So I got to give him credit for that.
Can I make one statement about Donald Trump? I support his policies. I looked at the policies he's had like that. A lot of times it's not about a personality type of thing like that. I look at the guy and, he's very abrasive to some of his competitors and things of that type like that. I'm running for office. I'm not going to be that same abrasiveness to my competitors, but I'm going to be very firm on the policies that I believe in like that. And so I look at Donald Trump not as a personality and not as a celebrity. I look at what are his policies for America and putting America first. And when I see those things, he wants us to be energy dependent. He wants us to be a border. He wants to stop the invasion at the border. We're being attacked. It's an invasion like that, for goodness sakes. Like that. We haven't taken near strong enough stands against that, as far as I'm concerned, like that. And, so I think, I'm a Second Amendment guy all the way, and we need to protect our country. It's not just our country, the southern border. It's our state border. It's everywhere. It's happening like that. So the policies, I believe, why I support Donald Trump. He's not a perfect guy. He makes mistakes. I make mistakes like that. You make mistakes. I'm sure we all do. We're not perfect people, but we try to do the best we can do. And I believe he's not in it for himself. He's trying to do the best he can do to save America. He says it at his rallies, and I believe him. America's in trouble, and this is a critical election for America's future, not just for who's going to be president or not. It's for our future like that. So it's not just electing Donald Trump to me. It's electing a clean sweep everywhere at all levels, state and local. We need to get people in there that will put our communities first. Limit government. It's taking over now. It's too big, too invasive. It's into areas it never was intended to be involved with.
Yes.
We must take care of our own and get a handle on it. So that's my disclaimer for my supporting Donald Trump like that. I
agree with
anybody that has those policies.
I think that I personally cannot understand why an American would not support an America first stance. And you notice that the people that are loudly encouraging what amounts to illegal immigration, and I have nothing against immigrants whatsoever, but we have a process, we have laws, we have a process. If you want to come to America, here's how you do it. People have done it. And people say, oh, it's too hard and blah, blah, blah. That may be true. I don't know. But the answer to that isn't, well, then let's just ignore it and let them pour across the border. We have to secure our borders. And the states that are most affected, which is Texas and Arizona, have every right to defend their border from invaders, which if you just simply try to walk across the border without completely ignoring the laws of the land into which you are going, you are an invader. You are a criminal. If you want to be here, do it lawfully. Come through the lawful processes, because we have those for a reason. And Texas and Arizona are overrun. And you remember a little while ago, the governor of, I think it was the governor of Texas, sent a busload of these migrants to Martha's Vineyard. You remember this? You hear about this? Okay, so, and of course, the people of Martha's Vineyard are all mad. And I'm saying, okay, hang on a second, Martha's Vineyard. You're a sanctuary city, aren't you? Isn't your policy to accept migrants? Why is this bad? You want Texas to handle all of them? You're not willing to handle one busload. One or two, whatever it was, I don't remember. I think it was one busload. But either way, this is a tiny fraction of the total volume of people that are pouring across the border every day. You claim to be a sanctuary city. You oppose all the efforts to secure the border. You claim it's racist if you don't just allow people to just come across the border whenever they want. If you ask them questions, if you make them follow a process of laws, that somehow is racist. But you're not willing to take any. The hypocrisy is just staggering, John.
Well, I think really it's a matter of ignorance, really. The American people aren't stupid, but I believe the American people are ignorant in that they haven't investigated the facts to find out what's going on. They're getting a lot of their information
Fair.
from what I believe Donald Trump coined this phrase fake news, and it is fake news. There's nothing truthful what's being said out there. And I've dug beyond that myself. I've tried to investigate. We just had a person up here, and I'm going to give him a shout out right now. One of the platforms I'm running on this year is election fraud and how to correct it. And if people haven't taken a strong look at it, his name is Dr. Douglas Frank. I've heard him speak probably 8 months ago. I heard him 3 or 4 times, and he was just in Maine again. And I heard him speak 3 or 4 more times. And Fort Fairfield Journal videoed his topic, and they edited it down, removed the questions and answers, so it's just his talk. It's an hour and 20 minutes, and I highly recommend it. As a matter of fact, if you contact me, I'd love to send that to anybody. My email is just my name, johnlinnehan@hotmail.com. And I'll be more than happy to email you that, and you can take a look at it if you want to see some hard facts about not just saying the election was stolen, it was fraudulent, about how it actually takes place. And it's eye-opening. And I also have Dr. Douglas Frank has 7 steps, a pamphlet to taking our elections back. And I will send you the video of his talk, and I'll also send you this right here on how to correct it. And it's correctable. And I've seen indications in my own hometown where the machines broke down and they didn't send a repairman to fix it. They would do it remotely over the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So don't tell me it's not connected to the internet. They have modules where they can connect direct to the cell towers, and they can tell you by the tabulators exactly what's going on in each election. And there's also all many ways. I don't want to get into it right now. I'd rather have you listen to Dr. Frank, who is a nationally known, probably internationally known expert on election fraud, and listen to the facts he tells you and investigate them. If it's true, rip up his brochure just like that and throw it away, but it's not. He'll give you a true case and show you how to fix it right there.
Yes. And so I was as you know, attended the event where the second one, I think it was at Constitution Hall.
Right.
And watching that presentation was just, eye-opening. And I don't understand how anyone can you have to really hide your head in the sand to not see the election fraud. And one of the people I used to talk to on Facebook, a friend of mine, now no longer a friend, apparently. I don't know. Maybe we were never friends. I don't know. We disagreed on something, and he got very angry with me and really.
Oh, we need to disagree agreeably whenever we disagree. You and I wouldn't agree on 100% on everything. We're still friends. I love you and pray for you every day.
Thank you. And same with me. And that's one of the worst problems we have in America right now is we can't have these discussions. As soon as I tell a person I disagree with them, and that's all I did. I told him that there is an abundance of evidence of election fraud if you look. And he responded to me that he said, this is what he said. He said, I have not seen any evidence from a credible source. And I said to him, you haven't looked.
That's right.
Okay. And he got very angry with me. And he never said, yes, I have. You see, I said, no, I researched it. And I've come to the conclusion that the election was not fraudulent. He just ranted at me about, MAGA Republican, blah, 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 which is funny because, as you know, I'm not a Republican and I'm not MAGA. And I've never been a Donald Trump fan. I'm not the one pounding the, yay, Donald Trump, he's awesome. I give him credit where it's due based on facts and evidence. And here's this guy, this friend of mine, Ben is his name, ripping me to shreds about, how dare I, blah, 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 this and that. But at no point did he say, you are wrong, Dana. I have done research. I've looked into it. And at no point did he say, if you can refer me to a source, I will gladly look at it with a fair and open mind. And that is how we should all be discussing issues in America. Every single issue. Let's have a cold, hard, factual, rational, reasonable discussion about it, and then look at the evidence and examine it carefully and come to logical conclusions. And we can't do it. They're fighting like cats and dogs in Congress and accomplishing nothing. They can't even. They're so corrupt. They should be able to at least agree to send more money for money laundering to the Ukraine, but they can't even agree on that. It's pitiful. So I applaud you for your 2 or 3 years.
Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, I applaud you for your decision to be an independent, because I think that is, we should all be independents.
over the last 2 or 3 years, I've had several speakers at Constitution Hall on the election fraud issue. The most recent one has been Dr. Douglas Frank, and I believe he has done the best summary and the best on everything. That's why I liked his presentation. Not only did he just say there's election fraud, he showed us where it's done, how it's done with drop boxes at various locations, how the tabulators can put the information out over the internet that's not supposed to be there, and how the vote ballots, I won't get into it on just for time's sake today, but how the election is, people get absentee ballots fraudulently and send them in fraudulently, and that makes a big difference in the election. It's not the old school where there used to be one day election physical count, and we knew at the end of the day who the president was, didn't we?
Yes.
Nowadays, they start 6 weeks early getting it, and we go 6 weeks afterwards, and we still not sure who the people are that elected. That's crazy. That's foolish. We need same-day balloting, same-day voting, voter ID, that you're a United States citizen, and we need to have physical count on all that stuff.
I agree.
And I'm making a platform in my campaign. There's one thing I'm disappointed in the Republicans at, including Donald Trump. I felt he should have put up a bigger stink and a bigger notice about what he really felt actually handled, in the election, that it was stolen from him. Dr. Douglas Frank was the keynote speaker at Donald Trump's first rally back not as president of the United States. And he was to speak 20 minutes on election fraud. That was done in Wellington, Ohio. And that was the first rally back, and he had 20 minutes of that. That's 23,000 people there in attendance. So some people are looking at it, but not enough people have looked at the evidence. I'm disappointed with the Republican Party in Maine. They've kind of have made it, well, it's no big deal, and haven't jumped all over it. A few individuals have, but the majority haven't. Unless we get a handle and get real elections in the state of Maine, then we're in serious trouble. I don't mind if my man loses in a fair election, it's physically counted, and that's the vote. I can deal with that, but not when I believe, and I've investigated, and I believe beyond a shadow of a doubt, they're fraudulent elections. And that's
absolutely
a banana republic, and that's not work. It's violating our constitutional freedoms that we have in America. That's what I'm fighting.
Yep, I absolutely agree. And I think that no rational person that examines the evidence, if you look at it, clear your mind of all your biases, look at the facts, come to a logical, rational, scientific conclusion based on the evidence, it is overwhelming. You cannot possibly look at the evidence and not conclude that there was election fraud. And even at face value, if I knew nothing about the voting mechanisms and I saw Joe Biden hiding in his basement the entire time, like literally just doing nothing, no campaigning, and having adapted the least desirable vice president, that Kamala Harris was so disliked that she had no chance in the primaries, none. She's very dislikable, and yet somehow he manages to get supposedly 84 million votes. Is ludicrous at face value. It's insane. And everywhere I go, I see Donald Trump signs. When I was driving, I drove all the way up the entire stretch of Maine a couple of months or so before the election. There were Donald Trump signs everywhere. I saw, I think, maybe one Biden sign, one. Right. And I know that's anecdotal, but when you look at the sum of all the evidence together, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up.
Can I give you an example of how an individual can make a difference?
Please.
This is what I'm going to do in my city of Ellsworth. The next city council meeting is March 18th. Next week, I'm going to send out that 1 and 20-minute video of Dr. Frank explaining how the elections are fraudulent, how the votes are stolen, and everything about that. And I'm going to send it to my city council members, and I'm going to ask that unanimously they will put that on the agenda at the city council meeting. I will be there, and some other people will be there. Dr. Frank won't be there, and I want to discuss that. And I'm going to ask them if they would unanimously vote to remove the machines from the voting in the city of Ellsworth. Right now, there's approximately 500 cities in the state of Maine, and 200 of them do not have voting machines in there. They're done the old-fashioned way with paper ballots, paper counting like that. And I would like to see my city, the city of Ellsworth, take a stand once the councils look at it. I'm sure they haven't looked at it. They're unfamiliar with it. Let them look at the evidence, and then look at Dr. Frank's 7 steps on how to take back our elections, And I'd like to see Ellsworth be a leader in that to turn it back. Now, I'm only one person, but I know there's going to be other people there if they'll put it on the agenda, which I believe they will, because they say they want transparency and they want to learn. But I believe that they're smart people on our council, but they're ignorant when it comes to this event because they've never researched it. They'll give them an opportunity to research it privately with an hour and 20-minute video. We'll have it on the agenda. We can discuss openly and transparently. Or do they agree with it? They disagree. Can they disprove any of it? I don't believe they can. So I'd like to see the city of Ellsworth take a stand, remove the machines, and go back to paper ballots immediately. And I believe they can do that if the council will vote that way. That's one reason I'm running for the city council. If I get on, I'm going to push that again. And I think we need to do it. But every individual in the cities in the state of Maine that has voting machines right now, if they take that same approach, it's an action plan. I don't want to just gripe and complain about this as a problem. How am I going to, what can I do, John Linnehan, in my community to fix it? That's a way I can do it. So I hope March 18th, it's on the agenda. It's openly discussed. And I'm optimistic that they're not stupid people. They're bright people. They just don't realize the situation we're in. And I hope there's a vote that night to remove the machines and go back to paper ballots.
I think that it, to me, is should be an easy home run. I don't understand why anyone, unless you are involved in counting, why would you care whether it's done by hand or by a machine? In theory, using a machine would make sense, would make your life easier. Okay, if you're counting the votes, if you're not the one actually counting the votes, it has no impact on you. And if we were able to do it up till the voting machines were introduced without them, we can do it without them. And if you really want to be sure that there is integrity in the process, you would want to demand that they be counted by hand and not by a machine, because machines, as we know, are flawed. And they sometimes simply do not work or they malfunction. And that's not to say that humans don't make mistakes. But if the counting process is executed correctly, this is something Dr. Frank talked about, the opportunity for a miscount is almost completely eliminated. It's very, very accurate. And
Can I make one comment I learned from listening to Dr. Frank?
Please.
If you can do a physical count at the end of the votes right now, and it will balance out. The problem is there are faulty ballots that have put into the system. And I'll tell you one way they do it is Maine has, I think it's in the top 5 states as far as a dirty voter roll. And what that means is, for me, say I live in Ellsworth and I move away from Ellsworth, I might still be showing on that voter roll. Right. But if I move to Bangor, Brewer, where you live, if I don't register up there, or if I do register, I might be on 2 different voter rolls.
Yes.
Well, what needs to take place is not just counting the ballots at the end of the day and see that through the machine that there was 2,000 ballots put through the machine and 2,000 voted up there. You need to look and see, were they fraudulent ballots that were inappropriately requested with a vote, because you can request by mail now to get a vote in ballot. Well, what if I request one for someone else's name there, have it shipped to my address, and I voted there? So there's that, and that's a lot of work to check that and verify that that actually is a fraudulent ballot. But that's what needs to take place, and that's what needs to happen. See that the
Agreed.
voter drop boxes are a problem. You get a inappropriate voter ballot by mail. I'm not the person, but I got it in their name, and I go drop it in a voter box. It's not secured. It's not monitored. It doesn't have a video on it, so you can see that I'm the actual person. So there's a lot of things of that type. It's a complicated issue to get track of and get a handle on it. But once you decide to know what's going on, then you can actually go do it. But it takes effort to do it. It's easy to do it this way, but it doesn't give you accurate results.
And well, yeah, and easier, the opportunity for fraud gets much, much easier if one person gains control of the mechanism involved in counting, and those that are opposed to our efforts will tell us, oh, they say it's safe. They say the machines can't be hacked. They say they're not online. These are all false. We've seen the evidence that they're, you and I have, because we actually looked.
That's
And
right.
so those arguments don't hold water. And again, I don't understand at the base of this issue for me, why a person, a rational thinking, scientific, constitutional, patriotic American would object to doing things that would absolutely be assured to make our elections more secure. Why would you object to that? Why would you say no? It just doesn't make sense. So I agree with you on that, and I applaud your effort, and will support you in that. And as you know, I have some friends and family down your way in Ellsworth, and they're also very much in the same court with both of us on that. So hopefully we can see progress on that issue.
I'll make one more statement on the election fraud issue. Anybody hearing this podcast that we're doing right now, if you totally disagree with what I'm saying, this fraud, please get Dr. Frank's, send me the email. Let me send you Dr. Frank's video, an hour and 20 minutes, and you watch that. And if you still don't think this election fraud, then God bless you. We'll disagree agreeably. But at least you've investigated, you've checked the facts out there, and you can make an intelligent decision. That's all I'm asking. And if you can prove me wrong, please contact me. Prove me wrong. I mean, I've done a lot of research on it. And the people I've talked with show all have come up with the same thing. This is what's happening. The state of South Dakota, I think right now, is to the point almost the whole state is going to go the way we're talking, no more machines. I just saw an article on that. So it's a nationwide thing that people are looking at it. So the fire, the smoke's a lot of smoke, and the fire is getting hotter. And I think there's a lot of people investigating it right now and realize there is a problem there.
Yes. And sadly, you were talking about a lot of the Republicans not really pushing our Republican elected servants here in Maine, not really pushing and delving into this issue and so forth. And a lot of this has been just shaming, that basically as soon as you raise a voice, you're shamed. You get, called names and MAGA, those extremist MAGA Republicans. And I don't, again, not a Republican, never been, not MAGA per se, but I agree with the issues. And when people would oppose these and decry them, people that I know, I would ask them, well, what is it about this that's bad? Tell me why you think that's bad. If we're putting America first, how is that bad? If we want to secure our borders, how is that bad? And always it comes back to the same vague inferences. It's racist. It's somehow every single thing that I say that opposes their agenda is somehow racist.
Yeah.
And it's bizarre because there's no weight of fact behind it. You remember when, for example, voter ID, here's a great example. And we were told if we demand voter ID from people, that's racist. and literally there are videos of very liberal people talking about how this is what they say. And this is not me. So don't send me any hate email telling me I'm a racist. I assure you I'm not.
No, you're not. I know
my black friends will absolutely. And yes, I'm not George Costanza. I do have black friends. And they would say, well, these people don't have access to the same resources. They don't have access to the DMV, or they don't have access to the internet. And let me tell you something. And this is God's honest truth. I have a friend who is black. At one point, a while back, was visiting the Bangor area, called me, said, hey, Dana, haven't seen you in a while. Let's get together. I said, great. Sounds like fun. So my friend drove up, and he also was with a number of other friends, most of whom, but not all of whom, were also black. And we went out and we went to the store and we bought ourselves some various alcoholic beverages. All of my black friends had an ID, all of them. So isn't it racist to suggest that black people are too dumb to use the internet or too dumb to know where the DMV is, and that it's placing an unfair burden on them to have to produce an ID? It's ludicrous. The whole thing is just utterly ridiculous. And I researched this, Johnny, because I wanted to know. My liberal friends telling me that's racist. You can't do that. You can't demand ID from people. You'll be disenfranchising voters. And I'll tell you something, and I know this to be a fact. Prove me wrong. The only group of people in this entire nation that have a difficult time obtaining any kind of an ID are Native Americans on reservations. No one else in this entire nation is deprived of the ability to obtain an ID that they could use to verify their identity when they're voting. And why wouldn't you want to vote with integrity, where you know that the person is voting has a right to vote because they are, in fact, an American citizen and not here illegally, or not voting twice, or not submitting fraudulent votes? It's pretty straightforward, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
well, I like using the term MAGA because I want to make America great again. I also use MAGA, make America godly again. As a Christian, I believe unless we have a revival spiritually in America, and I know it's happening in various college campuses and around the country right now, that America is not going to be made great again. So making it godly again is number one. And for me, I'm not trying to encourage people to be MAGA Republicans. I want you to be a MAGA independent. I want you to think on your own. I want you to step outside the box, and I want you to look at the facts and the figures like that. Take your Bible, take your Constitution, like I do, read them both, apply them to your life, and expect our country to operate with those guidelines. That's how we were founded. That's what made America the greatest republic in the history, I believe, that's ever been. We're also the longest running republic. And America started out, goes through the hard times, the fight, the battle, gets the Constitution, gets the Bible, gets the principles. We work hard. We start from nothing. We develop our country and technologically and everything. Then we get so self-sufficient, so profitable, really. And we are. America's a profitable country. People are rich here. The poorest here are rich compared to, I've been around the world on mission trips. And I can tell you, there's nothing like America. There's no country like it. And we want to keep it that way. We want to help our own first and then help others if we can. You have to take care of yourself at home. So I'd like to see us stick to those values. And I think this election is going to be critical. I'm excited about this election because I think people are starting to wake up. They're starting to pay attention. And that's the key like that. People aren't stupid. They just need to look at the issues openly, transparently, and say, these are the facts, and go with the facts. That's all I'm asking, all I'm trying to encourage people to do.
And I agree with you completely. Couldn't agree more. You know, the evidence takes you where it does. No matter how much you want a thing to be true, or no matter how much you want a thing to be untrue, it doesn't matter. It either is or isn't. And when you research and you follow the evidence and look at the facts and weigh them carefully and use a careful scientific analytical process to arrive at a logical conclusion, you're going to figure out the truth. And one of the worst problems we have in our nation right now is with our so-called mainstream media, and a lot of people that I know don't watch it at all. And I understand why.
Yep.
Okay, because watching it is for me like bathing in raw sewage. It's just horrible, horrible, horrible. The absolutely atrocious manipulations, it's lies, it's manipulations, it's mind games. It's always full of fear. And I'll give you an example. On our mainstream news, if there is anywhere in the United States or anything vaguely affecting a United States citizen involving a shark bite, that is front page news. Your chance of being bitten by a shark is about 100 times worse than your chance of winning the lottery. But that's what they put on national news. Terrifying shark attack. And there's always fear. Look at the verbiage. Growing fears, growing concerns. And they always give you their agenda very subtly by their titles. So, for example, they had one recently about Nikki Haley versus Donald Trump in a primary. And the title was, Nikki Haley Scrambles to Keep Up. Now, see, that's a characterization. That's not a news headline. That's an editorial headline. It is the opinion of the person writing the headline, a characterization placed on this woman, which may or may not be valid. It's about fear. They constantly show you that Hollywood celebrities, just every single day on the news, they talk about Taylor Swift and the football player she's dating. And they show pictures and they talk about where they went, and they talk about her songs and Beyonce and the shooting, the Alex Baldwin shooting on the Rust set, and then they talk like it's no big deal about sending quote unquote aid to Ukraine. And by the way, the latest headline on that one was the Ukraine is now complaining about massive ammunition shortages in the face of the United States stalled in their discussions about aid to Ukraine, basically telling them we're at fault. Poor Ukraine is
Oh, yeah.
suffering because we, the selfish United States, are not handing over billions of dollars that basically we don't have to them. It's outrageous. So the mainstream media is the tool of propaganda. It's lies, propaganda, manipulations, mind games, and people that trust it really believe it. And that's where the opposition comes from. And that's where the people loudly decrying things like trying to require IDs for election, that's where they're getting their information from. And they believe it. They don't do any research. They don't check. They don't double check. They don't ask questions. They just completely accept that if the TV is telling them it's the truth, it is the truth. And they will laugh at you if you dare to tell them otherwise.
That's right. Dana, I just got back from Tampa. I was down working the Florida State Fair. As a Christian, I went down, and a ministry that I'm involved with goes down and talks about sharing their faith and telling people how if they put their faith and trust in Jesus, then when they die physically, leave this earth, they can go to heaven. And so I talked with a lot of people at the fair down there, and we had like 500 and some people make decisions to accept Christ over that couple-week period down at the fairgrounds down there. But what I really saw from people are scared. They may not want to put their faith and trust in Jesus, but they know we got major problems like that. And so I had a chance to talk with a lot of different people one-on-one, and I just said, well, I realize these problems, and I agree with you, and we can discuss them, but I don't have a fear about that because I have a faith. I have a strong faith in God, a faith in Jesus as my Savior like that. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have real issues out there we need to identify and deal with like that, but focus on putting your faith where it's supposed to be first, and then fight for these freedoms that we've always had historically for the last 250 years. We're in a battle. America is under attack.
Yes.
It's under attack.
Yep.
These aren't happening by accident. Our enemies not stupid people either. They wanted
they told us, Johnny. They told us years ago they were going to do. Nikita Khrushchev sat there and told us exactly what was going to happen. We're going to take you over from within. We don't need to fire a shot. We're just going to invade you with a constant stream of immigrants, and they're going to become voters, and they're all going to vote for the things that we want and to overcome and overturn your constitutional republic, and we will own you. You'll be slaves, and we're on the doorstep of that. If we all don't get involved and start doing something, it's going to just keep getting worse. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I know that's why you're doing what you're doing. And I want to comment too very quickly for all my viewers, because I go through this issue a lot with regard to religion, because a lot of the people that I am allied with are very staunch Christians, like John Linnehan, and I'm not a Christian, but that doesn't stop me from supporting John Linnehan. I'm not going to, well, I'm not a Christian, I can't support you. That's ridiculous. John and I share a lot of the same values, and I'm going to, on any issue on which I agree with John Linnehan, I will totally, wholeheartedly support him and encourage others to do the same. I don't have to be a Christian to support what John is doing if I agree with his positions on issues, and I do, therefore, here I am. So it's not about, Christian or atheist or Scientologist or Muslim or, whatever you are. You should be a constitutional American and value our Constitution, because your rights are mine and my rights are Johnny's. If John gets his rights taken away from him, then mine can be taken away from me. So
Right.
We all need to unite. That's the biggest and most important message that we can all share among ourselves is unite. Stop fighting about stupid things. Stop being divided. It's not about Republicans versus Democrats, rich versus poor, black versus white. It's about we're constitutional Americans. We want our government held accountable. We want transparency. We want people who commit crimes to pay the price for
That's
those
right.
crimes. If you commit a crime, if you break the law here in our country, then you should be held accountable, whether you are a politician or a police officer or a hobo or whatever. That's, I'm unwavering in my position there. So
Dana,
Johnny, any...
The
Go ahead.
Bible that I use every day, I'm just going to give a plug for it. It's called the Founders Bible.
Founders Bible.
Founders Bible. And what it is interspersed with all of our historical documents about our political process here in America, about our freedoms, our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, our Declaration of Independence, all woven throughout this. and all the life stories of our founding fathers, many of which were Bible-believing followers of Jesus. Not all, but many were. So
Right.
the historical document of our founders in the Bible and the Constitution, when you look at the history and put them both together, that's what made America great. And that's what will make it great again, is those two things.
I know you've seen this,
Like
Johnny. I don't know if you remember, but for those who don't know, people say, oh, you should get a copy of the Bible, Dana. Well, I have a copy. This Bible, this is a very old, I'm thinking 1800s.
It's old. Yeah.
This Bible is the Bible that was left to me by my father that he got from his wife, his second wife, not my mother. And her maiden name was Hatfield. And she was, in fact, a direct descendant of Devil Lance Hatfield of the Hatfield-McCoy family feud fame. And this Bible is the Hatfield family Bible that I have. And it's amazing. I mean, utterly amazing. Look at the work in this.
Oh, yeah.
Right? This is
I've inspected it in person when you brought it down. It's very interesting to look at.
It's just amazing, and it's absolutely comprehensive. So, and I have a lot of Christian friends, and they all say the same thing. You know, read your Bible every day. Ohio Brett, so is that a verse a day paves the way? I think was his expression, and you know, I'm happy to be among you because you know, we share so many interests and align ourselves in so many ways, and if we work together, and it gives me encouragement and faith and hope that we can work together to restore our republic and hold everyone accountable, all the elected servants, all the campaign workers, you know, everyone, and fairly and rationally and objectively based on evidence, and everyone that committed crimes will pay for their crimes as the law dictates.
Definitely.
So, John, I really enjoy talking to you always, and it's been great. We've been on for about 40 minutes now. So anyone, you want to wrap this up with any kind of goodbye parting message to the world?
Well, you know, you should never ask a solid, committed Christian follower of Jesus that question, Dana. You know what I'm going to say right now. Let me just summarize this, that I left the Republican Party on Monday, and I'm an unenrolled independent right now. And I really want to fight for certain things. So my, I guess, campaign platform is this right here. I'm a born-again Christian, a follower of Jesus Christ as my Savior. That's number one. I'm an original intent studier of the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution. And I read that. I read the Bible daily. I read the Constitution probably not all of it, but on a weekly basis. And I'm an America First, freedom-loving patriot. And I believe if you're any one of those three things, then you should we the people need to take control of our government. It's out of control. It's too big. It's excessive. Government was put in place to limit government, not to limit us, we the people. We need to take our rightful place back as we the people, take control of our government, and elect people, I believe, like myself, I believe I'm the best candidate running for my district down there. If I didn't, I wouldn't be running. And I believe I'm right on the issues I'm putting forth like that. Elect people like that. I hope it's the same belief that I have. But if you're all like Dana and you're not a Christian, but you're a strong constitutionalist, America First person, then you need to vote for people like John Linnehan, because we're in a minority in government in the state of Maine. That's why Janet Mills is running roughshod, has shut our state down, shut the churches, shut the businesses down, is bringing 75,000 illegal immigrants they're aliens, they're invaders into our country like that, into the state of Maine. And unless we the people take control and leadership at all levels, we cannot put a stop to that. So I'm in the fight, and I'm in the fight for the duration. I'm fairly good shape for my age at 75, and I'm going to keep fighting until I breathe my last breath. And I encourage you to do the same thing. I'm fighting for my children and grandchildren. I can hunker down and survive, but my children and grandchildren, they're never going to know the freedoms that we had as a country. And I want that back for America, for Maine, for Ellsworth, and for the other communities we involve in. So I appreciate Dana spending time with him today. And I love the podcast he do. He's billed as the angry citizen. I'm angry, but I come across with a big smile. But I'm fighting for what I believe in right now. And I believe the way to do it is to unite as an independence and get it done this time around. Thank you, Dana, for having me on.
Well said. So in the comments, folks, I have put John's email address if you'd
Please
like
do.
to send him an email about whatever. And if you want the truth about election fraud, there's a link in there for Dr. Frank's website. And Johnny has offered to send a link to the video that he is referencing. I don't think it's the same one, but it's a pretty compelling video.
It's the most recent one. He just did it at Bangor.
Okay.
And that was just about 2 weeks ago. So it's the most current one.
Okay, good.
And I haven't watched I saw the whole presentation, but I haven't watched the edited video.
Okay.
It's supposed to be all the meat of it's supposed to be there, just removing the questions and answers.
Yep. Okay, good. Well, we'll connect after the podcast too, and I'll get
Yep.
that from you, and I'll post that in the comments to the videos on Facebook and on my YouTube page. So
That'd be awesome.
If you are an American, you owe it to your nation. You owe it to every veteran that has shed blood to investigate this for yourself and to join forces with all the other people, all the other constitutional Americans that are demanding accountability and transparency and justice for those crimes that were committed, because election fraud is a crime, as well it should be. And if enough of us get on board with this, we will see change. We will see accountability. It can happen, but it takes a concerted effort, and it takes a lot of us. So please join us and join together, and let's get it done. Let's restore America to the full constitutional republic that it was born to be. So,
well said, Dana. Agree 100%.
All righty, John. Thank you again, and we'll have to do this again soon. God bless you all. God bless America. And this is Dana the Angry Citizen signing out. Have a great day.